Hey everyone, it's Sonia here. Welcome to another edition of the I Am podcast. How you doing? Like, take a second, check in with yourself. We're recording this on a Wednesday night in April, and I can tell you it's gorgeous out. It is absolutely gorgeous out. So for us to be inside taking a few minutes to do this tells you how important it is to both of us to be sharing when we could be playing. This talks about bandwidth, which is a topic we're going to talk about today, indirectly, as Fitz and I are sharing some conversation with all of you today. So grab your coffee cups, join us on YouTube. This is a heart to heart, which for any of our audio listeners, it's episode 173 and it can be found on my YouTube channel. All the links are attached here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, more importantly, for showing up for yourself today. And Fitz, please take a few minutes to introduce your beautiful soul to all of us.
Well, Heidi host Sonia. And if you're not watching YouTube, Sonia is absolutely gorgeous. So you should tune in to see her pretty face and her cute shirt. So I am Fitz Koehler, and I am noisy and I am bossy. And I help people live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. At the core of who I am, I'm a fitness expert. I have a master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. I've been teaching since I was 15. But I don't do it the way most fitness professionals do it. I haven't been in a gym or a fitness center professionally for decades. I teach exclusively through mass media. So TV, radio, I write books, I write for magazines, I do a lot of online content. I do a ton of corporate keynote speaking. So live audience work is my favorite. I absolutely love being in the same room with people, connecting and answering questions and watching their head nods and laughing together. And then I'm a professional race announcer. So I host some of the largest, most iconic running events in the United States right now, Los Angeles Marathon, Buffalo, Fargo, and many, many more. And I'm as happy as a clam. And I'm a Floridian and a dog lover, and I think a decent mom.
Wow. Okay, there was so much said there. Thank you for sharing all of that. And there were some big takeaways, but some of my favorite highlights of what you just said. I mean, okay, where do I start? But the race announcer.
Yeah.
I am our participant in those races. So I
Oh,
know
yay.
how cool it feels like to have your name called out. And I don't do these big events. I'm getting back into the game. 4 years in physio with my ankles
Okay.
and a lot of recovery, a lot of mental work. I would have ran my first 5K in 5 years before this episode goes live. So it'll be interesting to hear what's different then. But to hear your name announced when you're crossing that finish line, tell me about what landed you there.
So how did I get there? I was teaching clinics as a fitness expert for Run Disney, the Walt Disney World's
The
wing
princess?
of endurance wing. Huh?
Oh, not the princess. I thought it was the princess
Well,
run.
yeah, I did. I spoke at Marathon Weekend and Princess and Star Wars and Wine and Dine and all of those, and a couple in Los Angeles as well, or Anaheim. But yeah, so I'm there teaching my strength training for runners clinic, which is very popular, and a few others. And their race announcer, Rudy Novotny, who is just got this big booming voice and incredible charisma. And he was the life of Run Disney for a very long time. And he was stuck introducing me at the expo. Before I would speak, he would always be the one to say, and on next up is Fitz Koehler, blah, blah, blah. And then he'd be stuck listening to me for an hour. And he was always very complimentary. You're so engaging. You're so fun. People love you. Da, 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 da. I can tell you love the people. And then eventually he said, I need a co-announcer for the OC Marathon in California, which is Orange County. And are you interested? And I said, well, I've never done it before, but I see what you do. It looks like a lot of fun. I'd love to give it a try. So he connected me with the race director, and the race director gave me a go. And within about an hour of yelling go on marathon morning, race director came over and said, can you come back next year? And I said, hell yeah, I can. I would love to. And so Since then, it's this part of my career has spiraled out of control in the most wonderful way. I'm extremely busy, and I live for it.
Well, okay, so talking about the expansion, and
Yeah.
you and I get to witness this every single day when we're coaching clients, when we're watching people and sometimes linking arms with them physically directly and
Yeah.
seeing them grow past their comfort zone and what that looks like. And before we dabble into this question, I want to share with the audience what we talked about pre-screen, and it was about bandwidth. And we were debating about me rebooting my system because I was having choppy internet. And then I'm like, wait a minute, let me shut down my 100 apps that I have going. And that's exactly what happens when we expand to new horizons. When we let source or spirit or whoever your northern compass is guide you with to those next steps and you don't hesitate, you fall into that fun factor. You fall into the fact that you don't think twice about your bandwidth until you need to reboot.
Yeah.
So tell me, how does something that blows up in a good way
Yeah.
have an impact on you in the other ways?
In a negative way, in a challenging way?
In all the ways, because yes,
Okay.
and I loved how you did that. And again, for those that are just landing on this show, we are not scripted. This
No,
is
no,
a
no.
no, this is 100% conversational base. So the fact that she had landed to the worst case scenario
Yeah.
is very natural. Our minds go there. And I did talk about this morning on my live. And the live you want to look up on YouTube is April 12th, 2023. And it's talking about exactly what you're saying, Fitz. We always go to the worst case scenario. And for anybody that's been doing mental health work, you're challenged to go to the best case scenario, but that's too far of a stretch. It's not believable yet.
Well, it's so very funny, Sonia, because everything about what I do is awesome. Like when you say the
Yes.
other side, all I can think is, well, if there's another side, it's got to be difficult because I love every second of my work, of my time with people, of my efforts. They're all so joyful, and they fuel me, right? And I worked with cancer. I went through it in 2019 and 2020, and where most people would have just stayed home and rested, I boarded over 30 planes out of Gainesville, Florida to fly around the country while bald, while sick, super sick, just to get there because it was that good. So how does this thing impact me? It gives me constant role models. I rarely envy the person up in front. It's those back of the packers, which so many people think, oh, they're the last, they're the worst. No, they're the best. They're the ones who have really had a life-changing moment that day. They've spent the most time on their feet. They've had to utilize the most endurance and discipline and grit. And so this part of my profession impacts me only positively. The only on a rare occasion does a travel schedule collide with something special my children have going on. So my son's going to graduate in a few weeks, and I'm going to have to miss a race morning. I'm going to have to show up late to a race because I'm prioritizing my son. But other than that, man, it's all good. I'm so fortunate.
And I love how you're thinking that way. And like again, naturally we go to worst case scenario. When you're working with anybody, they want you to shoot for the moon and you're going to land
Yeah.
amongst the stars, but that seems so far-fetched for so many people. So what's the middle of the road? And the middle of the road is asking yourself, what's the most realistic? And you nailed it on the head. The most realistic is having joy and happiness in
Yeah.
every area of your life. And would you have thought that this would be your story at this point in your life?
No, what's so interesting is once I started teaching fitness and once I started working in the media, I started working on television pretty quickly off and fell in love with strangers showing up and saying, "Are you Fitz? Oh, I've lost 17 pounds. I love your show." And the ability to impact strangers just blew me back. And so the TV, I got hooked, and then I started writing articles, and strangers were writing me letters saying, "Thank you for XYZ." And that was really impactful. So would I have imagined, the parts of my career that I could have imagined would be teaching still via mass media, still helping people live better and longer, touting the benefits of exercise, nutrition, rest, those things, yes. Corporate keynote speaking, yes. Speaking was always on my agenda. However, the race announcing was definitely a fork in the road, and what a delightful fork. I was so fortunate to have that invitation and for it to work out for me. And then the thing that really boggles my mind is that I have 3 books in the cancer world, 3 cancer books. And how did I ever think I'd ever be writing books about cancer, about living with cancer, going through cancer, fending off cancer? I never thought that would be any part of my anything. I mean, who expects to not only have cancer, but then pursue uh, that the beneficial parts of helping people? I mean, just I couldn't have fathomed, right? Who could conjure that
Who
up?
who can, right? Because we don't think it's going to happen to us. We naturally, again, we don't. I mean, we
Yeah.
know it affects the cancer is definitely not biased.
Oh no, no.
No, it affects every stage and age of life, right? And so who would have thought you would have had a success story from it? Or
Right.
three success stories. So
3. Yeah.
three. So can you show and tell us about, like, just hold them up and read the titles for the audio listeners in case they're not catching the video?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So this one's newly released. It's called Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. So it was spawned because when I hit rock bottom, the day my mother said, "You look like you're in the Holocaust," because I was skeletally thin and bald and gray and crazy weak. It was that weakness that really jarred me. I went to the gym and tried to lift what I used to lift before chemo and surgery, and I couldn't. And I had to keep putting the weight down until I was about only 20% of what I used to lift. And I thought, well, I know how to rebuild my body. I'm going to get it back. I didn't have any doubt that I was going to get back to normal. But at the same moment where I was looking the way I looked and feeling the way I felt, I had this thought from my peers, right? What about all of the millions of other cancer patients and survivors around the world who have no idea how to rebuild their body, how to get that strength and stamina and flexibility, mobility, balance back? The people that are just a shell of who they used to be, whether they've lost weight or gained weight, or, I mean, it's some people, fortunately, thank goodness, get off easier than others with cancer, right? Some people, it's just like a quick surgery, maybe a skin cancer removed, and it's sewed up and it's not pretty, but they're fine, right? Chemos can be really difficult. For me, it was a nightmare. These surgeries can have theirs great impact. So, anyways, at that point, when I was thinking about those other people who didn't have my fitness savvy, I just thought, well, I have to do something. I have to provide a resource. So this book is the blueprint. It's the guidebook. I hold the hand from diagnosis all the way through athletic. When you're done with treatment, I teach you how to exercise, teach you about food that helps versus foods that hurt, how to stretch and do strength training exercises in bed, in a chair, in the shower. So it's
Is
not
that
all
a
about just,
is that available on Amazon?
yeah, it's available
Yeah.
on Amazon and fitzness.com. So
Okay,
that
hang
book.
on one sec. Oh, I was gonna say, guys, just so you know, we are going to be attaching the links to the show notes. So you don't need to go look for it right now. It'll be in the notes. Any books that we talk about, whether they're either one of our books or they're external books, will be linked in the show notes, as well as Fritz's and my contact information. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that where to find it. Yeah.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. So that's Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. And that's for every type of person, every type of cancer. And the next book is Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, which is full color and filled with all sorts of wonderful prompts for people to put their diagnosis information, and then, it's a cathartic place to put down their faith, their fears, notes about their family, the funny stuff. For me, a lot of people said, "You look like crazy Britney Spears." And I would say, thanks. I think, what a weird thing to say to someone. So there was actually a lot of really funny stuff that went on. So the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, it's for all those feelings and statistics. And then the back half is a daily journal to document your path from sick to strong and document your exercise, nutrition, all of those things. And then this one, my noisy cancer comeback, running at the mouth while running for my life. This one is my memoir, and it's a wild tale of my 15-month tour around the United States, announcing races while doing the treatment triathlon for cancer. And I go into the gory details. So a lot of people say thank you for the guidance on what may come ahead with cancer and how to handle it. It's a lesson in mental fortitude. I made a ton of great choices that really enhanced my life and decisions. That's really what anybody should know at any time, especially if you have cancer. You have a lot of control, and it's important that you take control of the things you can. So powerful messaging about mental fortitude. And then I think it's just some hilarious nonsense that you would not believe went on. And so my greatest compliment on Noisy is when people say, I cried, you got so raw, but I laughed a whole lot more. And that's really what I want. I want people to learn, but laugh at my expense. Because if we can't laugh about it, then we're in big trouble.
It's so true. And there's a couple things that you'd mentioned earlier that I wanted to talk about. Not just did you call yourself noisy and
Bossy.
bossy at the
Yeah.
beginning, but your book was noisy as well. And the first things that come to mind is about owning your shadow.
Yeah.
And this is a huge, powerful point for people. And I have no problem explaining it, but I would love to hear how you would explain owning your shadow to our audience.
Yeah, so I've got some qualities that some might deem undesirable, right? I am very noisy. Of course, I use that on I work on a microphone, so that's really where the noisy comes in. But the bossy part, that could be taken as a negative, and I know it's what makes me effective, right? So I never give unsolicited fitness advice. So I never grab someone overweight on the street and say, "Hey, this is how you should eat and how you should exercise." I never do that. But when someone comes to me, I feel compelled to tell them the truth, not only deliver the science, how simple fitness can be, understandable, attainable, and fun, but I I get pointed with people because I care about them, and I get away with it because I love them and they know that I love them. But the greatest feedback I ever get with fitness from people who have had success on my guidance is thank you for the brutal honesty. And so there you go. I am bossy. I am noisy. I will do whatever it takes to shake you, rattle you, and roll you to get you to commit to yourself and take your health seriously and do better. Too many people are mamby-pamby about it all, and I'm not. So I'm not really worried about the opinions of those who think, oh, she's bossy. Okay, well, I'm not your cup of tea. That's just fine. I can't please everybody, and nor will I try.
And that's the thing. That's exactly the thing about owning your shadow. So when you own your darkness, nobody can take it away from you.
Yeah.
It's just a part of who you are. I was at a retreat in it's weird to say this because it was like last month, but back in March, I
Okay.
was I was it's weird now, but when people hear this and see this, right, it'll be like July, August. So
Yeah.
um and everybody was in my room with me and I'm like, guys, you need to put your headphones in tonight because I snore. Well, they had plenty of time. They had plenty of options to switch rooms, to do
No.
whatever needed to be done. But when you complain in the morning, don't think I'm going to care. I warned you.
Right.
I snore. This is not a surprise to me or to anybody else now. So
Yeah.
I sleep like a baby and I snore. I've earned this after raising three kids. I can let everything go.
Atta
And
girl.
right. And that's what it boils down to. And when you own your darkness, I bet you it doesn't matter how noisy or bossy anybody calls you, you just own it like a crest.
Yeah, it's just true. It's just true. The other thing is sometimes my delivery is blunt force trauma. Like I just go straight for the gizzard sometimes, and not in a mean way. I almost can't help myself because I'm so passionate about things. And on occasion I've thought maybe I should pull back, but then I think, no, I'm not pulling back. I mean it so much. And it's important that people absorb what I'm saying. So again, if they don't like me, that's fine. There's a whole bunch of other fitness professionals that maybe will connect with them.
Well, and that's it, right? Like as professionals, as practitioners in this field, whatever we want to label ourselves, and at the end of the day, encourage, we can guide, we can lead, we can bark, we can do whatever it takes, but it's not up to us. We're just here to mold and guide because we were gifted, and I'm going there. We were gifted with the blessing of being educated as to what it can look like to feel so good and so
Mhm.
full of energy that we just want that gift for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said.
Thank you. Well, and you'll notice most people in this industry, again, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what past you are, not one person, and this is very, very true in my 15 years plus in this industry, there's no judgment from another coach. There is absolutely no judgment from another coach because they know if you are a coach and you're not a certain shape or size, there's probably a story,
Right.
right? Because you know better, but you're still a coach. You're still, right? So there is something bigger going on, and this wasn't a priority because there was something bigger that was a priority.
Yeah.
Or you're on a journey for something else and you just physically can't, but it doesn't mean you're not capable of leading others.
Oh, so you just hit on three things. So number one, when I was back in college, one of I mean, I guess I was a leaner girl. I wasn't as lean as I am now. I was overweight as a teenager and lost weight and so forth. But there was an instructor who was really heavy set, and she taught step aerobics, and people freaking loved her. Loved her. She taught a great class, and I remember someone questioning it, and I said, "Well, golly, teaching is not about what your waistline looks like. It's about the knowledge in your head and how you get it out to get other people motivated, to get them up and guide them and so forth." So I don't feel like an instructor's worth has anything to do with their body. In fact, there's a lot of people with great bodies who know jack. Um, but yeah, I mean, some people show up to a class and they do want to take an instructor that they want to emulate.
Mhm.
And then some people want to go to an instructor that they can identify with. Oh, she's like me or he's like me. So, those are two very different things, and we all do have value. I believe the most important thing for me is in my head. It really doesn't have as much to do with my muscles. My muscles benefit me, not you. But the other thing that's interesting, where you said coaches don't judge each other, I'm in the fitness side of thing, and I tell you what, I do judge a lot of these people that are selling lies, selling diets, selling weight
Okay,
loss
yes,
supplements
yes,
and snake oil and those shakes. And I am
yes.
uh, a fierce opponent of these horrible people taking advantage of people who want nothing more than a healthy body. Every time they sell a pill or the powder or the diet, I just want to go strangle each and every one of them. I don't think they have any place in this industry. They're the worst. And the reason I have to speak in such a pointed tone sometimes
Yeah.
is to get people to ditch those horrible habits and behaviors, and you name it, from those other people that are know nothing liars, some of them with very good bodies.
Well, and you know what? And I completely concur with that because that is my biggest resistance. Oh, which company are you with? Well, it's my own company. Oh, like they automatically assume that we're pushing this product or selling this thing. It's like, no, we've spent 15 years, blood, sweat, and tears, whatever it looks like, to build a brand and to build a reputation. And it's not, you're not earning 20%. This is our everything. And so my question to you is, yes, I get a lot of pushback from that too, and I have a lot of disrespect. Show me your credentials,
Yeah.
right? Like, do people realize what it takes to be a certified trainer
Yeah.
and that your CPR and your medical is higher than a nurse?
Well, I don't know if that's true about mine.
Oh, it's true here. You have to get
Okay.
80% on your exam and then you have to do your CPR every year.
Okay.
Well, nurses
Okay.
don't need 80% on their provincials.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
tell you in Ontario, that's where it is, like what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Florida, I don't know. Um, but most people don't realize that you need an 80% to pass your personal training or whatever the number is.
So I don't do certificates anymore. Mine is I had a master's degree at a university in
Okay.
exercise and sports sciences. So I maybe I roll in a different um whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's not okay to sell lies. I have
No.
turned down millions and millions of dollars in endorsement deals where people said, "Fitz, will you sell our protein powder, our weight loss this?" It's all got this weight loss thing. And it's not that a supplement is necessarily a bad deal, but has your doctor drawn your blood and said, hey, you're deficient in XYZ, and this is a supplement you should take to replenish that? Or are you going into some sort of quote unquote vitamin or supplement store and you're dealing with a minimum wage employee?
Oh, I was going to say that.
No actual education. They're just, pointing and shooting and trying to convince you. They're like a magician of sales, and you go, oh, that one will help me lose weight. Oh, okay, that one will give me the protein I need. All right, I'll have miracle. And nobody gets these miracle cures from any of the things in the jars. They just lose their hard-earned money. So yeah, there is some judgment on my part, and if I could take them all down, I would take them
But do you
down in a
really think
heartbeat.
they're coaches like
Yeah.
us? You think they are? You think they are?
Oh yeah. 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 I mean, they get some sort of a certification out of a Cracker Jack box. And, even some of them who went to some legitimate fitness instructor training, they fall prey to the money that you can make selling the crap. So instead of
Yeah.
guiding people to say, hey, you know what? Really, you just need to learn to eat the right amount of the right food for the size you'd like to be. There is no product with the word weight loss on it that will help you lose weight. There's not such a thing. And, if I pulled out an apple and it's $1 for the apple, but then I said, well, this one's a weight loss apple. Here's a $5 apple. And you were a sucker enough to buy, oh, well, that one will help me lose weight. No, there's no such thing as a weight loss food. There's just food. So if it does have the word diet on it, you don't want it. If it has the word weight loss on it, it's a lie. So steer clear of that. Eat as much, you'll learn your caloric budget if you go to fitzness.com. That's FITZNESS.com. Right on the cover is a button called the exact formula for weight loss. Read that. It's nothing but a little science, a little math. It couldn't be any more simple, stupid. Some frequently asked questions. And then, you fill your caloric budget with as much healthy food as you can and leave some wiggle room to have some fun. I'm of the 85, 90% philosophy. If that amount of my daily intake is quality and nutritious, I am very enthusiastic to have some milk chocolate or some French fries or on a rare occasion, a beer, right? So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intelligent and disciplined most of the time. The end.
Well, the end. Well, I preach the 80-20 rule, so it's very similar. And I remind people that 20% is not your weekend.
Right.
You have to make choices. But my daughter called me, my oldest daughter, the 25-year-old with her son. So she called me the other day and she's like, Mom, how many calories do I need to eat to lose weight? My answer was, kiddo, you're going to need to put 2 or 3 days into MyFitnessPal and let me know what your macros are and your calories are and your nutrition so I can give you some direction, because without that, I can't give you anything.
Yeah.
And you can't. And this is what we do differently, right? We're neither one of us are here throwing solutions at you. We're throwing opportunities at you where you can go and get your own answers.
Yeah, you gotta make these choices. People say, well, no, just tell me what to eat. No, what if I tell you should have a turkey sandwich and then there's no turkey or bread? What are you gonna just give up and have Cheetos all day? I'm not gonna tell you what to eat. I'm gonna give you guidance on how to eat and how to make intelligent choices. And again, none of that comes out of a package with the word weight loss on it, right?
Yeah, so true. So true. Okay. I know we are sensitive to time and there are a couple of things. I know we got time, but the time that we have had together flew by really quick, as I knew it would once we got chatting live. Okay. So we talked a lot about mindset, and that's been a pattern that I've noticed lately with my guests. Mindset seems to be natural with a lot of coaches that I bring on here. And for our audience, your mindset is going to be the hardest piece of the puzzle. People don't normally start with the mindset. They start where they can see results, whether that's on the fitness side or on the nutrition side. So listening to these and picking up all of these mindset pieces, my advice would be apply what makes sense to you now, and then focus your primary areas on the fitness or the nutrition. And I'm saying one or the other. You don't want to necessarily do both, but if you do one or the other, you're going and you stay consistent, you'll see results. And once you see results, it's easier to integrate more because you're on the right path. And I don't ever suggest doing this alone.
Yeah.
Fitz, what are some of the benefits of working with you?
I will get you out of your head. I mean, I don't accept excuses.
Mm.
Um, and there's valid hardships, but even during hardships, even during cancer, for example, there's so much you have control over. And it's your obligation to yourself to take control over those things. You know, I chose from the day I was diagnosed, I was not cancer's victim. I wasn't going to play that role, and I didn't before cancer, and I won't after cancer, right? So my mindset starts with perspective. You know, it could always be worse. When it comes to cancer, it's like, okay, well, I wasn't a kid with cancer, and it wasn't my kid with cancer, so I was going to be real grateful to be an adult with cancer. So whatever situation you're in, let's take cancer off the board. It's important for you to have a an appreciation for where you are, for what's going right. You know, I just worked with a woman last week that was doing a race. She has ALS. She planned to run the race, but she couldn't. So she did it with a walker. But what a great day that she could do that race with a walker. Because I tell you, the day is going to come for this beautiful woman where she's not going to be able to move anything. And she's going to wish she was doing a race with her walker. So for the people who start always by focusing on the negative, putting themselves down, that's not how Michael Jordan got to be Michael Jordan. That's how nobody successful gets successful. What you need to do is start becoming that coach inside of your head that says, you can do this. You know, maybe you're not at the tip top of your existence, but you're here. This is what's going for you. This is someone. Think about the people who have it worse. Someone at this moment is on fire somewhere in the world. That's probably the worst case scenario, right? So you're not on fire, you're not drowning, you don't have ALS. You know, there's all these things, and then you go from there. And it's interesting. People, even those 20 something thousand people who show up to my races. I announced the LA Marathon a few weeks ago. 22,000 people wrap around Dodger Stadium. And one would think, looking in, that every last one of those people are awesome, right? Because they're all signed up to do 26.2. But I imagine there's a good 30% of those people who are saying, oh, I'm not going to PR today. It's not going to be my best day. Well, it can't always be your best day. It can only be your best day once. Um, oh, well, I'm not as fast as I used to be, or I'm not this. Well, who cares? Like, why does that matter to anybody but you? So instead of focusing on the negatives, focus on the good stuff. And it's trainable. I'm fortunate. I was born with a sunshiny attitude. Yay for me. But there's also a lot of practice that comes along. I was raised in a house where my mother put herself down. We were constantly badgering ourselves. You look fat. Your hair is stupid. Your nose looks bad. Whatever it was, we were constantly ripping ourselves apart. And when I left for college, I had a roommate who was always ripping herself apart, and that got real annoying. And so Julia was beautiful, and she was always saying, "Do I look fat? Do I look fat?" And I just thought, oh, for the love of God, I'm sick of answering this question. What a stupid question. And then I thought, oh my gosh, when I ask that question, am I annoying everybody else? So because of beautiful Julia and her really annoying habit, I learned to stop picking on myself. So, you know, a good attitude can come by nature, la-ti-da, but it also is it's a learnable skill. And if you practice enough, you will start talking yourself up instead of putting yourself down, and you will start making progress, because that's what happens when we feel motivated and we congratulate ourselves. We get excited and we do it again.
Okay. Okay. So again, a perfect segue, and I don't always mention this, but I don't know if you know that the name of my Facebook community is Celebrate Everything.
No, that's great though.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
we talk about, like, again, meals, movement, mindset, your relationship with money, but we literally on Fridays we do a check-in Friday, and we see where your successes and your wins are, and it's without that but. It's without the, so what did you do right in these areas? But no but. And there, because
Yeah.
that is more than enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's more than enough.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what is your favorite kind of movement?
Any movement outside makes me happy. So my favorite
Okay.
exercise is strength training, but I like to move outside. Give me any opportunity in the ocean, on a trail, on a mountain, and that's my favorite.
Do you get out there enough?
Never enough, but
Okay.
often, daily for sure. Yeah.
Nice. So outdoors, nature, ocean, trail, mountains,
Rivers, lakes, you name
rivers,
it. I'm a
lakes.
big I'm a Floridian, so water sports are pretty king around here.
Okay. All right. And meals. I know we tapped into this, but expand a little bit more. What goes through your mind or what goes through your day when it comes to meals, or do you meal plan? Like this can be specific or elaborate. You answer this
Yeah.
however you want.
Yeah, so I look for quality. I do think, will this food help or will this food hurt? I do think about that on the regular basis. So it's not that I don't have a little bit of fun with some French fries or chocolate on occasion, but I do look for quality. And really, what it's come down to is I eat counter food. I actually get sick of the decision. It's constant. You always have to think, what am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? It just, oh, food drives and it's enough. It's enough. Unless I have a chef making food for me, which I do not, I have to constantly make this choice and it becomes very annoying. So I always have produce. It's almost always on the counter. And I traditionally will eat whatever's on the counter. So it's tomatoes, it's potatoes, it's apples and bananas. And I go through citrus like a lunatic, tangerines and oranges and tangelos and you name it, I eat it. So I'm a vegetarian, but it's counter food. And I also have kind bars and
Yes.
nuts up there. So counter food. I, that's my game plan for eating every day. Just grab whatever's on the counter.
Whatever's on the counter. So
Yeah.
hopefully, well, on my counter this week were pumpkin oatmeal chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, latte da. That sounds like nice.
Mm. Yeah,
Hmm.
'cause they're pumpkin from when I made the pumpkin lasagna. And we're not vegetarians, but when I
Okay.
infuse this, yeah. Okay, so counter food. I love that. Okay. Meals movement. We talked a lot about mindset.
Yeah.
And again, my biggest takeaway there was how you shared a lot of your stories in your books, to help other people through their journey. So another way we can help people through their journey is by helping them understand our own relationship with money so they can see
Hmm.
where it relates with their relationship with money. So when I say money,
Yeah.
what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I two things is number one, I insist on being debt free. Debt makes me sick. Debt turns my stomach. If you loan me $20 because I forgot it, I would think about it nonstop till I gave it back to you. So debt bad, and I am debt free. I own my home clear out, my car's clear out. Every bill I have right now is voluntary because I'm choosing to have a cell phone or I'm choosing to turn on the air conditioning. And then the other thing I think with money is money offers comfort. And so when my dog was hospitalized last week and the doctor said it's going to be a few $1,000s for starts, would you like to treat your dog? I was able to say yes and not agonize over that decision. When my refrigerator broke, I'm able to replace it. Is it frustrating to replace your refrigerator? For sure. But can I do it? Yeah. So money to me is comfort, freedom from stress.
I love that. And you're taking care of it from both angles, the debt-free piece, which is
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and assigning money a feeling.
Yeah.
And in your case, you've assigned it the feeling of comfort. So when you think of comfort, you think of that cozy sweater or the fire or the couch and the pillows and the blankets or your bed.
Yeah.
And none of those things make you feel bad,
No.
right?
No, no, it's interesting. You have to live within, to me, I think, you have to live within your means. And so for a very long time, we've not deprived ourselves of the basics, but we have deprived ourselves of elaborate vacations and a lot of things our friends were doing. And very pricey vehicles, and I just can't wrap. I can't get my head around that. Dropping 70 grand on a car. No thanks. I've got a what is it? A nine? No, is it 2008 Jeep Wrangler? And it's used, and it came with a dent that I love, and makes me so happy, right? So I'm a casual girl, but yeah, money is power, right? You can get your fridge, you can help your dog, you can pay for your healthcare or whatever it is. So I money's important, and if you manage it wisely, it won't be your enemy.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that and with everything else that you've shared today. Before we get ready to sign off, is there anything else you want to share?
And you know what, guys, your health just matters. It's one of those things where don't wait till illness or injury strike to prioritize your health. That day comes where your back hurts and you think, oh, if only my back felt good, if I had a healthy back, everything would be great. Or if I didn't have cancer, all I want is health. I don't care about vacations or purses or anything. So health matters every day, and prepare your body, because if it has to go into battle, whether it's illness or injury, you will recover and rebound far more quickly and efficiently if you were healthy and fit going into your crisis. So yeah, take it seriously and get to work.
Get to work today.
Yeah,
Start
immediately.
where you're at,
Yes.
because injury and illness do not come with a caution sign.
Oh,
As
no.
much as you want it to, it doesn't. I mean, maybe if you're super intuitive, I am very super intuitive. I didn't see it coming when I was injured and out of commission for 4 years.
Yeah,
I'm
who
sure
thinks
you
that's
did.
gonna happen?
Yeah, like I'm sure you didn't expect cancer in the prime of your life.
I was at a race when I found it. I was at a race weekend. I got out of the shower at a race weekend and rubbed my underboob and found that lump 7 weeks after a clean mammogram. So I definitely was not fathoming cancer was going to come get me, but I was prepared. And even though I had hit rock bottom eventually, that's just because they had treated me for so long with such evil drugs. The fitness that I had allowed me to travel the country and do all the work I wanted to do. And it's interesting, when I went in for the 6th round of my meanest chemo, and it was pretty nasty stuff. I go in and my doctor says, Fitz, you're doing so great. And I looked at him like he was a madman. I said, what? Every iota of my body has been obliterated in some regard. I'm a mess. And why are you saying that I'm not doing great? He said, Fitz, it's not that you haven't suffered. And I know you're suffering. He said, however, if you were not so healthy and fit coming into this and throughout your treatment, you wouldn't have bounced around the country on an airplane doing all the things you do. You would have been in a hospital for a month. You probably would have had a feeding tube. But because you're so healthy and fit, you've been able to not only avoid the hospitalization and the feeding tube, you have had more adventure than most healthy people do in a decade. So your health counted. And that at that point, I thought, oh, okay, now I get it. I get it. So get yourself in that position where even something as a formidable opponent as cancer comes, you are ready to take it down and do better than expected.
Yeah, you want to ring that cancer bell.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna ring
Yeah,
its neck. Yeah,
you got to ring
ring the
it.
bell, ring
So
its neck. What else?
there is a short story that I'm going to share before we sign off. And August 2022, my dad got diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma cancer.
Yikes! Sorry.
No, actually, thank you. And I lost it. And here's the thing: when you're in any kind of recovery, it doesn't matter where you are. This is anything that happens to people around you is a reality check to you.
Yeah.
And we don't see it that way. And so my aunt have died of this exact same cancer, his sister, when I was 16. So of course I was worried. You and I were talking off camera how I moved away for 20 years and I moved back and my whole family's here and I wanted to spend time with them, and this happened. And I'm like, okay. Well, this impacted some of my recovery because we hold on to stress, which is why we talk about the money piece. And I wasn't myself. I wasn't attracting clients. Let's go back to what we talked about at the very beginning. Did I have the bandwidth? Probably not. I was barely taking care of myself,
Yeah.
let alone my family going through this. My mom has her own story. She's actually a recovering AA.
Okay.
So,
Good for her.
okay. So, yeah. So, very important to know these things because my mom's open about it or I wouldn't be sharing this, right?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I need to keep her strong and safe and healthy to take care of my dad, who is now fighting the biggest battle of his life at
Yeah.
76, 75, 76. And they're bored and they're restless and he's missing life. And he goes through 6 different chemo treatments. And he rang the bell in
Oh,
January and
good.
February this year. And it still gives me shivers. And when I found out, we found out in March, I think, or February, whichever the 2 dates, I was actually cancer free. I know he's got to go 5 years, but everything has minimized. They are beyond
Wonderful.
surprised and very happy. And I threw a big pizza party
Okay.
and for the whole family. And my dad didn't quite acknowledge or get why this was a big deal. And I'm like, Dad, so many people don't get to ring that bell.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So
sure.
many people. Like, I don't know if you understand, but he wasn't ready to go. His mindset was
Mm.
positive mental attitude. But he wanted me to train him afterwards. And one session, I decided to put him on the mat. We'll do Pilates, we'll work on strengthening his core,
Yeah.
10 minutes, and he was still beating himself up. I'm like, Dad, you're just not ready.
Well, just baby steps. Do,
Yeah. He's
do
like, you
like,
tried to kill me. I'm like, Dad, it was 10 minutes of core, but if you
yeah.
can't do it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like
Start at
it's
1 minute.
you're
Yeah.
not
Go
there.
2.
Like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter what you're going through. It's just you're not invincible. Something's gonna hit
Right.
you. Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to drop this human thing because I prefer being invincible. So I think I'm done. I'm done with the
Do you want
human
my
part of
cape?
my life.
Do you want to borrow my cape?
Yeah,
I
you and
do.
your dad and I are going back to invincible right now.
Oh, I don't know. He's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You're gonna
that's what I'm
like him.
saying.
Yeah,
We'll
he's
be
pretty
invincible
cheeky.
together.
His hair came in all white now, and he doesn't find the peach fuzz coming in. I'm like, Dad, we can
No.
almost braid it. He's so
Sweet.
funny. Yeah.
Sweet.
Now, if we can work on his relationship with money, it's a different
Baby
story.
steps. Yeah.
Baby steps. Okay. Oh boy. And part of his motivator, guys, for my dad was he wanted another 15 years to torture the hell out of me.
Noble
And that
goals. Noble.
noble goals. And this is what these heart to hearts are all about, helping you discover your why. Why do you want to get healthy? Why do you want the energy? Why do you want to own your shadow? Why do you want to live your best life? Because we all know if those things don't matter, you wouldn't be listening to this,
Right.
right? Okay, on that note, thank you so much for spending an hour with all of us tonight, today, this morning, whenever you're
Yeah.
listening to this. As a quick reminder, we will have all of our contact information, all of Fitz's books attached to the show notes. I don't think there's anything else that we referenced that needs to be externally referenced, but if there is, we'll attach that as well. And thank you so very much for joining us. I look forward to chatting with you all next week.
Bye, everybody.